Hey, welcome on in, everyone. Good to see you. I am here with Danii Pollehn today. Danii, how you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We're going to jump into it soon, but I just wanted to say hi to everyone first. We got Ferry in the chat. We got Caroline, Gus, good to see you. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I hope you had a good weekend. I just wanted to let you know, give you a little reminder that we got a lot more content coming up today pretty soon. We'll have Aoife O'Dwyer up next after the the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge. And we got all the daily creative challenges starting this week. So we just had the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge with Voodoo Vow. We're going to have the XD and Illustrator ones as well. So if anyone wants to check that out, definitely stay tuned. Look for those in the schedule. They're all starting this week. Today is the welcome stream for all those, but the first challenges will be starting tomorrow. Danii, thanks for joining us. I would just want to give you a little introduction, say hi to the chat. Let us know who you are, what you do, and what you're going to be working on today.
Hi, my name is Danii. I'm a freelance illustrator from Hamburg, Germany, and I'm so happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me. It's like the most exciting thing. Like, I'm so happy to be here. Well, I'm working on editorial a lot and on packaging and do lots of illustration for websites and like
Awesome.
all these kind of things.
And what are you going to be working on today?
Today we're going to working on in Fresco on a sketch for a kaleidoscope portrait, which we will finish tomorrow with Adobe Illustrator. But today I think we're going to do the sketch first and decide on the shapes and the colors and yeah.
Very cool. If people want to see a little bit more of your work, what's the best place to find you online?
That will probably be my website, which is Danii, DaniiPollehn.com. I thought it's best to spell it out because my surname is so difficult. I think that will be it, or Instagram.
Awesome. And Cody put the links in the chat. Thanks, Cody.
Thank you.
So you're going to be starting off in Fresco today with the sketch you said?
Yes, exactly.
Awesome.
It's my favorite app to sketch, definitely.
And do you have any work that you want to show off for everyone today? Kind of show what you do?
Sure. I prepared a PDF with a few recent artworks I've done, and yeah, that's me in my room, in my apartment, in the studio. Clients I've worked for, and I really enjoy working with lots of colors and bold and vibrant. I did something for Coca-Cola recently, and love drawing women. I think it's something that I always loved, and I also studied fashion design, so it kind of I don't know, because we also had to do the figurines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you feel like fashion design has a large influence in your work?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I think I definitely, sure, not too much because I'm not concentrating on the clothes so much anymore. But of course, trends and these kind of things are still very kind of important, and colors and color combinations. And yeah, I think it definitely influences me. But yeah, as you can see, most of my girls have leggings on, so
yeah.
There's not much fashion design happening in the illustration anymore.
Yeah, it's really kind of the bold shapes and color, I think, that pop out to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really love to combine vibrant colors. I love it colorful. Yeah, then I did some magazine covers, and last year the year before, I mainly concentrated on botanical illustration, and participated in a book, which was nice. And I also love to draw flowers and plants, and did some patterns, and
yeah,
here
those
I
are
can
cool.
see the fashion influences again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the patterns that you're getting in all of these.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and also packaging. for example, like fruits and food illustration. Yeah, I think like it's a New York-based kombucha company also.
Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was my year, definitely.
Yeah, these mock-ups are great.
Thank you.
Now, is most of this work mocked up, or do you actually have this printed, or have you like seen the print of the things that your work has been used for?
This is mocked up now. This is also mocked up, but most has been produced though. I just put like lots of new stuff so that people can see different sides of my work and can explore more what I'm actually capable of doing. Yeah, also did some embroideries for fashion, and yeah, here are some print designs for fashion. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool, being able to see like your work applied to that many different sort of products and uses.
Yeah, that's definitely the best. I'm always so happy and in love when I see something actually like printed, and when the product is done, it's so like such a great feeling.
Yeah, it's like kind of you get to see the design kind of come to life when it's being used
Yeah.
in a practical way like that. It's always very exciting to see.
Yeah, definitely. It's the best actually.
Yeah, I haven't done a lot of printing, but it's like whenever you even just printing, you know, on paper or something like that, being able to see something that's usually digital in a physical form like that is always really, really interesting.
Yeah, also how it comes out, like when you're creating an RGB and when you're printing it, you have to change the CMYK and then like see the differences and see the colors printed. It's so exciting each time.
Yeah, definitely. Do you do a lot of printing on your own?
I did. I also had my own print shop to sell prints, which I printed at home with my professional printer. Yeah, that I did, but yeah, I stopped doing it a couple of weeks ago because I'm reworking my entire homepage and my own shop and refreshing everything and putting new work out and discontinuing a few of the older prints and yeah, really taking the time to like set it up greatly.
Okay, very cool. So you're doing character work today in Fresco?
Exactly. Oh, I said the word so many times already. I'm so nervous. Yeah, I decided to, usually I would do my own references and take pictures of myself in the poses. But yeah, for now I took some pictures from Pinterest because I felt too embarrassed to use myself and do these kind of things.
Yeah,
So,
I have so many pictures like that of myself that I never show my stream, but there's a lot of self poses for sure.
Yeah, definitely. My phone is full of it.
Yeah, I think that's probably something most artists can relate to. A lot of secret self-references.
Yeah, because I don't really like using like Pinterest pictures as much. Sometimes I do, but like very rarely, to be honest. Yeah.
So are you drawing mostly the pose from these, or are you taking inspiration from the lighting and color at all as well?
No, for color I have prepared something else.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think I'm gonna go. I chose two because sometimes I don't know how you feel about it, but sometimes when you do a sketch and it's not quite working out so well, and then you're getting frustrated. So I always try to get two ideas at the same time, so I can switch back and forth and see what I like the most and where it's flowing the best doing the sketch.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I chose these two because I like them very much, and I think I'm gonna start with her first and see how this is going, and I hope it's going good.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Do you ever experience that like when you start sketching that it's, I don't know, that it's not flowing or?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of times when I start, I'll have a certain idea in my head for what I'm trying to get across, but I think it's not until you kind of put that pencil to paper and really start playing around with shapes and ideas that you kind of have to find it, because sometimes we'll have that visual idea in our head, but I have to like find it on the paper too, and sometimes it's not always what I thought. So I can relate. Also, I want to say hi to everyone in chat. We got a lot of people in. Gia, Jake's Design, Stony, Nikos, Caitlin. Welcome on in, everyone. Christelle, Caroline. Appreciate everyone being here. Good to see you all.
Well,
so are you working with a pixel brush currently?
yes. From the sketch brushes, I think it's the crayon.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. Put on size 18. I think it gives the perfect, like, if I want to have thin lines, I can do them, but also when I can also do these kind of lines.
Oh, nice. And that's just like with the tilt, or is that with just pen pressure?
Just pen pressure or tilting, both.
Okay.
It's a mix, yes.
Yeah, that's something I really like with the iPad and the pencil, is like that tilt. When I first used it, I thought it was really cool. It felt very natural, like just the gradual tilt from the point of it to the side was something I don't think I had really experienced with like a Wacom tablet, for example.
Yes. Also, what I really love about painting on the iPad is that you can like turn around your canvas.
Oh yeah, the rotate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels very natural, like you're working with paper.
It really does. And before I was also working with Photoshop a lot and with the Wacom and tools.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and definitely it's much easier for me to draw like that with being able to turn around and whew.
Yeah, I think I've gotten like so used to my setup with Photoshop and my desktop and everything like that, but I think for people who are just getting into digital, I think a lot of times the iPad is really accessible. It feels really natural, just the way you rotate and how you hold it in, you can just go on the couch or something, draw on it on your lap as if it's a sketchbook. So I think for digital art, the iPads have been pretty accessible for a lot of people who, are from a traditional background, just used to pencil on paper.
That's true.
Nikos asks, have you tried PaperLike? Do you know what
that is? Yeah, I actually have it on.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, is that the surface?
Yeah, it's a foil you put on, and then it feels like you're drawing with an actual pencil.
Oh, okay. I've heard about that.
Yeah, I think at this point I drew so much on it that it's kind of used up already. But yeah, in the beginning it was super awesome. It even you can hear your pencil, even though there isn't a pencil, but you can hear it, and it's a totally different feel. It feels like very how can I explain that? It's not that you're putting your pen on the glass. It feels like there's actual paper. It's incredible.
Yeah, does it feel like paper pretty closely?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's very cool. Yeah, I've heard some people don't like this sort of glidey glass type feeling you get with the pencil regularly.
Yeah, I heard about it too. I think it wasn't too bad. I didn't hate it. Yeah. I think after a time I just got used to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't use any surface on mine, but I think I just get used to things like that, so I don't really think about it too much.
Yeah, same for me. And then you're just doing it.
Yeah, Isabel says, I love PaperLike. Yeah, I would really like to try that at some time. I know a lot of people are really into it.
Yeah, it's also not too pricey. You can totally get it.
Caroline wants to know what size canvas you tend to use.
I try to start as big as possible, even though most times I work in vector brushes, so it doesn't really matter. But I don't know, sometimes I want to add texture and pixels, so it's always good to start off as big as possible. And yeah, this would be for me 6,000 times 6,000 pixels in 300 dpi.
Okay, so decently large. That definitely gives you a lot of resolution to work with.
Yeah, or even when I go portrait mode, then I start with 6,000 times 8,000 pixels.
Okay.
Yeah, to really have the room. It happened so much to me that I started and then I wanted to print it, and then I couldn't really scale it up anymore because it got blurry. And then
Yeah.
So I really like implemented the habit of starting out big.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely seems like a good idea too, with how much you print your work or have it printed. So you never want to run into that issue when you go to print it, but like, you know, it's not quite the resolution it needs to be.
Yeah, it's such a pity. I was so sad oftentimes already. So no, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, I do very little printing, so I think I've always kind of gotten away with working at a, you know, a bit smaller resolution. But typically what I would do is actually have it fairly small. And when I first was doing digital painting, my computer was a bit older, so it couldn't handle super large sizes. So I would tend to work fairly small in the beginning and then scale it up a little bit throughout the process, so that each time I have to scale it up, it's not losing too much resolution, but I'm just going to paint over it anyway. But that's
Yeah.
I think you can save yourself a lot of headache if your computer can handle it, just working at larger sizes.
That's definitely true. I have an old computer, and yeah, I'm so happy that I have my iPad too, because my iPad can definitely handle it better than my
Yeah.
computer does.
Yeah, I was really impressed when I first tried an iPad Pro, like, you know, how much they can actually handle in terms of digital painting and drawing for just like this small little tablet.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I was very much impressed as well. I was not expecting so much power, actually.
Mm-hmm. Welcome in, JDev, by the way, in the chat. Steve says, I thought Fresco had a big capacity. Oh, do you mean like in terms of pixel size? Because yeah, I've definitely been impressed by the file sizes that the iPad can handle. I played around with Fresco, and I remember when I was first testing it out, I tried really big documents just to see if it can handle what I do in Photoshop, and I was surprised that it can.
Yeah, I think I had to work a job once where they needed 10,000 times 10,000 pixels, and I usually need a lot of layers. So, and it was not a problem at all.
Really?
It worked like greatly. I was like so impressed and so happy at the same time.
Wow. Well, that's super cool. I don't even know if I like have tried those sizes yet, so it's good to know. And I think on the previous stream with Paul, I think he was talking about how the new iPads are having, is it the M1 chip? I'm not usually up on that tech stuff, but like it sounds like, you know, they're just, as you would expect, just going to get more powerful and faster as time goes on. So it's kind of crazy to me how you can have that all in this little portable, you know, sketchbook sized tablet.
It's quite difficult to know that so many people are watching, and then like it's such high pressure.
You're doing great. How do you kind of like in your work? I notice you have such big, bold shapes with your characters. How much of this is you trying to copy what you see in front of you, and how much is you interpreting it in like your own way stylistically?
Yeah, I think I just try to get to grasp kind of the pose, but always moving away from it quite quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like I'm trying to get the hands kind of like, but it's never like super like the reference, not at all.
Yeah.
Especially because when I do full body figurines, I do like big legs and big foots.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think when I was first learning to draw, I was always very much, you know, when I would do studies or from reference, I would try to get it exact. But, you know, as the years went on, it's always like trying to take the idea of it or aspects I like of it and kind of give it your own voice a little bit with the changes that you want to make.
Yeah, I wasn't quite happy with the arms and the hands here. I think I have to redo. wasn't working out like I wanted it.
Tim's in the chat. He says, "Oh my God, it's Danii and Sam." A lot of people in chat.
Yay!
A lot
Hi,
of people in
Tim.
chat are saying this looks great too. By the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, of course. Also, when I started painting and drawing from reference, especially because I did like the fashion design, I think we also were after like having it super exact, like the picture. But yeah, at some point, when you've actually mastered it, you're kind of like moving away from it because it's like, I want to put something to the table as well. Like, I just want to like, I just don't want to copy a picture which is already there. I want to like add something to the picture or add something of my own to the person. And yeah, I think that's what's also more fun to me than just like copying the picture.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of becomes a question of like, what do I want my art to say or look like? Like, what do you want to bring to it rather than just kind of replicating an image?
Yes, exactly.
Speaking of, how long do you think it kind of took you to find your style? Because your style is very distinct. It's very clear. Was this a gradual process, or were you drawing like this fairly early on?
I think because I concentrated on botanicals last year mainly, and the year before actually as well, kind of, and came back to these ladies I've done during fashion school. So I think it's been like that for a while now, but I think I started like doing those strong and bold women like the way they are now, like 5 months ago. And it took me like, I mean, with all the previous years, because I mean, I'm drawing for 10 years now and longer. Oh, yeah, it took quite a bit. And still, I
Yeah,
think it's evolving every day, to be honest. And I don't think that having a certain style is, I will always draw like that. It will change, I think, and it will evolve and develop. And yeah.
yeah, I agree. I'm the same way, and I think a lot of artists are like that because I think we're always trying to learn more and find something interesting, and that's always kind of leading to different experiments and trying new things, which I think naturally sort of evolves your style.
I think so too, because we also change as a person, right? So
Mm-hmm.
our taste changes, our like knowledge is broadening, and with that, our style may also change.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I just want to let everyone know in chat, if you do have any questions for Danii, definitely put them in chat. I'll be checking so I can always let her know. So feel free to ask away.
Yes, please.
Yeah, with drawing for me, it's always like I have a certain curiosity or thing I want to try, something new that I want to do, and it's usually like that thing leads to a new thing, and it's just this kind of almost process of discovery. That's always there's something new to try and new to discover. So I think naturally a lot of artists sort of evolve and change over time with that. It's kind of that curiosity, I think, that drives it.
I think so too. Yes, definitely.
Laura in chat says, can Danii recommend some courses for sketching? Do you have any, like, I assume online courses or anything you recommend like that, any resources?
I've never done one, to be honest. But from my experience, I would try to sketch as much as possible. Like before I start anything in the day, kind of like, even though if I have lots of freelance jobs on the table, I always try to like have 30 minutes of sketching, like to make it a habit, to do it every day and to show up, even though if you think it's ugly and you want to throw it out. I think it's really important to keep on sketching like as much as you can, like to get confident with your lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, consistency, I think is the key for pretty much
Yeah.
anything, especially art.
Unfortunately, I've really never done a sketch course, to be honest. I'm very sorry. I wish I would know something great, but I'm sure there is lots of resources on that.
Well, this is kind of a related question. Michaela says, did you study human anatomy? If you do, can you explain a bit about your experience?
Um, I'm not studying it, but I look at people a lot. Like, how does it look when they do like this? Or I'm observing a lot. Can you call that studying also? Or
Is this usually done while you're working on a piece, or is this like side practice?
side practice all the time?
Okay. Yeah, I think that's definitely kind of, studying any sort of human figure practice, I think is kind of in that category.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting because there's so much movement in the world, and like I don't know how also the different body types, how it's functioning and how it looks, and without judgment, just like the way it looks. It's very interesting. Like sometimes I think, yeah, I might be staring a bit. But yeah, how do you do it?
I mean, when I first started drawing, I think I was really into the technical side of getting better. So I was, looking online what people recommend to get better in practice and everything. So there was a lot of figure drawing just from references online, a lot of like anatomy practice. I got some anatomy books, some gesture drawing. I have a gesture drawing book. So a lot of just figure drawing and like head drawing. I was really drawn to the human figure when I first started. So it was just a lot of practicing from photos. And I think over time I had to consider how do I make my own style or my own look, how do I take what I've learned and create something unique with it. But yeah, a lot of studying in the beginning for sure.
Yeah, definitely. We also had like I don't even know, is it called nude drawing in fashion school a lot? That somebody is like in the class and it's doing the poses nude.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then
Life
you're
drawing.
like, yeah, exactly, life drawing. That
Yeah.
we did a lot.
Yeah, that's super helpful. I think everyone who's ever taken life drawing has always said, if they've gone to art school or not, they've always said that's something that's helped them across the board. Even people who I know have gone to school and they didn't really like any other classes, they're like, well, figure drawing or life drawing was really helpful.
Yeah.
I think it's such a fundamental.
Yeah, even though I didn't like it as much
Oh,
at the
really?
time. Yeah, I think it really like freaked me out. It was like lots of pressure because you have those practices and tasks like, oh no, we have 1 minute sketch,
Oh,
1 minute position, 2 minute position, and then you're like,
yeah. No, I
yeah,
remember that. I took some in the beginning. I went to a community college just to dabble in some different things when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do before art. And I do remember, like, I think it was weird to a lot of people the first time they took a life drawing class, but I do remember that stress. I'm like, I'm having a hard enough time drawing this with like 30 minutes. And then when they're like 30 seconds, I'm like, okay, the pressure's on.
yeah. And I think my eye wasn't trained well as
Yeah.
well because you really have to develop that first, because in the beginning, the first 2 years, I was like so stressed and not like looking at it properly.
Yeah. I can relate for sure. It's probably a common feeling for people. I think after a while, I kind of learned just to, I don't know, go with the flow a little bit more, just focus on the big, the big shapes, the big flows, and just kind of know that not everything's supposed to look beautiful. Not everything,
Yeah.
it's practice. So a lot of it's just getting that mileage in.
And especially what's also very important is to go over the stage of where you think everything is ugly. Because at the moment when I see my sketch, when I look at it, I'm not happy, but I have to like go further and continue instead of throwing it out all the time and being unhappy about it. But if you like continue working on it and like getting the lines right, for me it's more like drawing a lot and not having an eraser, and then the lines will come, and having the courage to look at your ugly sketch all the time. I definitely had to learn that.
Yeah, the famed ugly phase of a drawing that we all have to contend with. I know. I'm very familiar with that.
Yeah.
It's like where you're like, this is looking really rough, but I know if I keep working on it,
it's gonna get there eventually.
exactly. We also have a question in the chat from Roshni who asks, any advice on how to start character design and create your own unique character?
Just draw. I think it really is consistency. Like, I also started out with some Pinterest boards to find out what I like and to like having it come together at one place, like have different folders with stuff I like, then stuff I've done already, so I can eventually see patterns. They're like reoccurring from what I've done previously, and then also inspiration. I mean, we all know that it's not good to like copy somebody's work, but I mean, there's always inspiration in the first place. So, but the more inspiration you have, the more it's mixing up and the easier it gets to like develop something independent. Also, I had a folder with things that like generally interest me, like Egypt I loved since I was a child, or plants, or I love colors a lot, and these kind of things. And I collect everything in one place, and then I go through it and start like getting this like essence somehow into your drawings. It's such a process. Like it won't happen overnight. It will take time, definitely, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because it is kind of just like a culmination of, I think it's two things. It's your technical skills that you built up over time, that you've learned, you know, how to draw the figure, maybe perspective, light, color, all that. But then there's also your like tastes, your preferences in terms of style that kind of factor into that. And that, I think that's the part of you that's more your unique voice. And that's really just a culmination of your preferences and things that you like. You know, if you like really bold colors or big shapes or dynamic perspective or whatever it is, these preferences are probably going to find, you know, their way into your work. So I think it really is something you can't rush, that just, I think, sort of happens naturally over time with your technical skills meeting your style and preferences. Nicholas asks, is this part of an app or a separate app? This is Adobe Fresco that she's using on the iPad.
Yeah, she looks like very angry. When did this happen?
I like the mouth. I think there's a little bit, you know, the curvature kind of adds a little bit of an expression that I like.
Yeah, I think I have to go and do it a bit differently, like clean it up a bit and then add more.
Do you ever do like really clean line art, or is it always fairly kind of just refining the original line art? Do you do like a separate clean layer, I guess is the question?
How do you mean?
Like some people do a really rough sketch on one layer, and then over the top of it on another layer, they'll do really clean, fine lines. Do you kind of do that sort of clean line inking type layer at all?
No, not really. Just like getting it to a point where it's looking good, and then transfer it to to Illustrator probably, or like start with colors, because lots of stuff is also happening when I'm adding the colors.
Yeah, that makes sense, because a lot of your style kind of comes from those shapes that I suppose you do in Illustrator to get that like clean graphic look.
Yes. Oh yeah, it's getting better. I have a tendency to like draw all the eyes, the nose, and the mouth very big. I don't know where this is always coming from, but
that's funny. I think that's pretty common. Like I find a lot of times that I have to readjust the size of the head when I'm doing a character after I put the facial features in. It's like hard to, I don't know what changes, but it happens a lot.
Yeah, to me too. I wonder if this is still like something what's left from the manga phase I had when I was a teenager. If
The big
it's still
eyes.
like somehow finding
Yeah.
its way back onto the canvas.
It's like that little bit of influence finding its way into your work. I think I heard someone say, like a teacher maybe some time ago when I was first drawing, that a lot of people draw the eyes really big and the nose and facial features really big just because we're so used to seeing them. Like when you look at someone's face, you notice their facial features. So we tend to represent them bigger than they actually are. And I thought that was an interesting point.
Yeah, that actually kind of makes sense.
Keith says, I always do an underdrawing. I'm way too sketchy. Yeah. I've always approached it like when I use pencil in a sketchbook, that's kind of how I do it digitally now. I'll do like a rough light sketch and then I'll kind of dab it with a kneaded eraser to lighten that original sketch and then just refine it a little bit more. But I've never done like clean inking or anything over it. So, I mean, I definitely got to do that rough drawing first and then I just clean it up a little bit. But I always liked sketchy drawings, when there's still some looseness to it. I always thought that was fun to kind of keep that roughness to some degree. But I think it really just depends on your style. And Nicholas was saying I was going to inquire about Discord. Yeah, if anyone doesn't know, with all the daily creative challenges that we have going on, just a reminder that today is the welcome day. First challenge starts tomorrow. So if anyone wants to jump into any of the daily creative challenges, now is a great time to get started and register. There's a challenge page where you can register, but there's also a community Discord. So if you want to share your art, get feedback, get critique, see other people's submissions or anything like that, the Discord community is a great place to do that. And that's the case with Photoshop, with XD, and Illustrator. So I don't know if you said it directly before, but do you have any art school background or are you completely self-taught?
I did my A levels in art and design. And then, of course, fashion school, which is like I did my bachelor's degree.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's quite. Or do you mean like fine arts?
Oh no, just like your training, just like that. Did you transition from a career in fashion design at all, or after school did you find your way into illustration?
It actually took quite a while because I graduated in 2009. And I would definitely worked as a fashion designer for a year, and then as a stylist and textile designer, freelance also. And now just recent, like the past 2 years, I started to like go for illustration more because, yeah, I love it.
And is everything you do illustration wise freelance?
Yeah. Or pattern design.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks for. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it really picked up when I started to post on Instagram.
Oh, your illustration?
Yeah. That was a Kickstarter kind of.
Oh, okay, very cool. Do you find that social media has been kind of a big part of the job? I was checking out your Instagram and everything, and it seems like you have a really, regular posting schedule. Do you put any sort of priority on updating social media regularly in that way?
Yeah, because it helps me to, I think just because of Instagram also, it really helps me to keep up the habit of like sketching every day. But I'm not stressing out about it. If I really can't make it because there is too many jobs or I'm too busy and it wouldn't really work out, I wouldn't. But usually, like, I try to post as daily or like at least 5 times a week.
Okay. Yeah, that's impressive. That's definitely something I've struggled with is kind of getting in a regular schedule like that. But I know for a lot of people, if you're doing a lot of freelance, that's kind of almost like the marketing side of it, really
Yeah,
advertising your work regularly becomes sort of part of the job for some people.
it totally is a must, definitely.
When did you say you got into Instagram?
I started to work on it seriously like 2 years ago,
Okay.
but it was a bit easier, I think, back in the days.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
easier to like reach more people than it is now. I think I started shortly before they introduced all the algorithms.
Okay. Yeah, there's definitely something to be said for like early adopters of social media that ends up taking off. Because I know a lot of people who blew up pretty big on Instagram, were there from the beginning. So that definitely helps with that momentum. I was pretty late to the Instagram game myself, but I've always kind of had a difficulty, I don't know, updating regularly with it. I don't think it's as conducive to like really big illustrations. If you do some illustration painting that, takes like a month or something, it can be
It's
tough to do that
yeah,
regularly.
you're so right. I mean, like I looked at your work and it's incredible, and I wouldn't be able to post something like that 5 times a week. That's impossible. That's
It
just not happening.
Yeah, it is interesting to see how people approach it because there's a lot of people who have a similar style or sort of content that I do, but you kind of see that maybe they post a lot more of the sketch phases of it, and just seeing the different ways people approach it, I think could be useful because it is good to see like, oh yeah, he's posting like the rough sketch and then he posts this and kind of gives you some ideas. But I think depending on your style and everything, it's something that can be handled differently.
Yeah, or you could also post prints and sketches, like you said already, like
Hmm.
or videos or like parts of your process or
Yeah, or if it's like a big illustration, crops on different parts showing different stages of the progress. Yeah.
detailed zoom ins and these kind of things.
Hmm. Yeah, it's something I'm still getting used to, but I think social media is just I think it's like, other aspects of it. You're always kind of learning what works and adjusting.
Yeah. Even though I have to admit that not everything is always so great. So I can also understand that not being on the app every day is also kind of nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to learn some lessons too first. So there was definitely a time I wasn't feeling so chill about it. But yeah, I think I realized that the amount of likes doesn't determine the worth of my work.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me too, it's been like if you only post once, I don't know, let's say once a month or something, it's easier for the amount of likes you get to affect you more or to seem more important because it's like that was the entire reception for the month that month. But if I've gotten into the habit of posting super regularly before just to try it, like every day or every other day, and I've noticed once I do it more, it doesn't matter as much anymore because if one doesn't get any likes and it bombs and I, maybe would feel bad normally, maybe the next day does, there's not as much writing on one post. So I think it helps me to get in that casual habit of just posting regularly. And, you know, if you're doing pieces that are a little bit quicker too, just like rough sketches, doesn't seem to like it matters as much to me. So that's something that kind of helped me. On this topic, Anthony asks, do you ever take a digital cleanse? I assume that means like take a break from social media or just kind of back away from it.
Yeah, I did. Christmas 2 years ago, or 2 years ago already. But I haven't really switched off from it during the pandemic
Oh,
because,
okay.
yeah, usually you would like log out during holidays or being on vacation. because you really want the time for yourself and relax and enjoying the moment instead of like loitering around on the app. So yeah, but I haven't in a long time, but maybe I should.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea if you ever feel like overwhelmed to just kind of step back. I noticed for me, if I get too much into like the consuming side of social media, I feel like it's not always the best for, my mental health and my productivity and my energy. So I've always been in a pretty good place when I don't browse the apps, but I just get on there, I post what I'm working on, and then I go back to doing my own thing, but not like I'm always wary when I get into the habit of grabbing my phone, clicking an icon, and scrolling without realizing it, without like intending to, where I'm like, why am I on this? I'm not looking for anything. I'm just scrolling. So usually that's when I'm like, all right, I gotta take a step back, take a break.
Yeah, I think so too. Also, what I figured out recently is that the algorithm shows you lots of stuff what's already in your bubble. So I tend to see lots of things I see all the time and then therefore get inspired by it. And yeah, I really have to take care to like don't look too much and scroll too much, because then I think my work is getting uninspired and like I don't have many of my own ideas anymore. Does that make sense? Because it's so in your face all the time, the same stuff. So
Hmm.
or like certain color combinations I liked previously, so then they're like putting it up to my feet again and again and again. So I feel like opening up a book in between or just like checking out something else instead of like checking out what the competition is doing is so helpful as well to like keep it fresh and exciting also for yourself.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I've heard people talk about that before. Like you do just kind of get surrounded by the type of art you already look at or the community that you're already a part of, but it's good to draw inspiration from, outside sources with different things, whether that's like traveling or books, movies, something maybe that's not always the same stuff that you do. I saw this website where you can kind of take different classes, and I know some for art where I'm very familiar. There's some, digital painting classes and stuff I want to take that are on like light and color and, all these things that I want to get better at. But it was this website that has all these different tutorials for different categories. So some of them were for like acting and writing and storytelling and comedy. And it's like, I was kind of intrigued by it because it's like, these aren't the tutorials that I usually consume. This isn't the content I usually look at, but I think a lot of that stuff is relevant to what I want to do. Like I want to tell more stories with my illustrations, that kind of stuff. And, knowing a little bit about acting can maybe help you inspire your characters a little bit more that you create, or storytelling can help you with the, that aspect of it. So I think sometimes getting out a little bit from what you usually do can really be good inspiration.
Yeah. So
Also,
I think, oh sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say that Jessica was asking what brush you're using. I think, is it still that sketch one that you were talking about before?
Yeah, it's still in the sketch brushes and it's the crayon, I think.
The crayon, yeah.
Yeah.
You said you
And I,
sometimes use the vector brushes in Fresco.
yeah, for coloring,
Oh,
most
okay.
likely. Yeah, but I
Have you?
also have, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say that I also have a few pixel brushes I have in my favorites saved up for texture, or like if I want to have it look a bit differently, or if I want to play around. And there is so many like Fresco, it's incredible.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely helpful that you can save them too. Helps to be able to organize in that way.
Yeah, and the watercolor brushes are amazing as well. So it's so much fun to play around with that.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask, if you've tried the live brushes out in Fresco, the oil or the watercolor ones.
Yeah, so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, the first time I tried that, I don't know. I think that was like the first time I've seen that kind of effect digitally, but the watercolor ones are really neat. And I haven't done a lot of traditional painting before, but oils were one that I really liked. So kind of testing the oil brushes out on this too was really neat to see. Like just kind of that realistic feel and look to it, the way they blend and everything in the texture.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed. Like I didn't think something like that was possible, but it is.
Yeah, it's super cool to see. It's always neat because, those features are just being developed more, and there's always new things coming out. Like when the neural filters came out in Photoshop sometime before, just some of the AI driven stuff is pretty wild. Also, Cody Bear says, very true, Danii. Have to make sure you're not being influenced by the same people over and over. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy to fall into that because you're part, the art communities that you're part of. There's whole websites for that where it's all like similar type of work. So it's definitely good to kind of get out there.
And it's also always the same stuff that's kind of trending. So yeah, but I think it's important to like stick to your own inspiration instead of getting inspired by trendy things happening on the app. Like always keep your voice fresh. And yeah, I think it would be fun if she could have a pear or an apple on her head. I don't know. Maybe that could be fun. And I'm also thinking about having a pattern on her shirt. Is there any suggestions for like a pattern I could do, like clouds or fruits or something else?
Yeah, if anyone has any ideas, put them in the chat. I'll let her know.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear them.
Do you have an idea at this point in the process of like what your color scheme is, or is that something that you figure out later on?
I have prepared something actually, because usually I'm a complete Adobe Capture fan, to be honest, because it's just so working well with the workflow, because you have it on your phone and you can take pictures and the app will automatically get like a color palette out of a picture you just took and transfer it to Fresco. You always find it.
Yeah, that's super helpful.
Here's some of my combinations.
All right, we got a lot of suggestions in the chat. I'll read them off for you.
Yay!
There's bananas, watermelons, pineapples. We got a lot of fruit. Cactuses, that's a cool one. Fruits and geometry, strawberries, popsicles, and Hawaiian prints. I don't know if any of those stand out.
I think I like bananas a lot. You like cactuses, right?
Cactuses was kind of cool, yeah.
Maybe we can have a banana cactus mix.
Perfect.
Is the cactus supposed to be with a pot or just without?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think either way, it doesn't say.
What do you prefer?
I'm trying to picture it. When I pictured it initially, I was thinking just like no pot, but then I don't know if like the cutoff, I think the cutoff line would look fine. I'm not sure. It's hard to visualize.
Let's see what I can do. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. No, I wasn't. So what's your favorite thing to draw?
Ugly humanoid creatures, I would say. You were talking about the goblin earlier that you saw, so goblin's definitely up there. I don't know why I always draw like kind of ugly creatures. I think it's because there's just so much, like whenever I paint or draw something that's organic, I feel like it's a lot of fun because there's a lot of freedom to, it's not a structure that needs to be perfect like a cube or something like that. You can kind of create little bumps and details and play around with the forms. So I think that's why I like that kind of stuff. How about you? Would you say, is it like figure drawing for you?
At the moment, yeah. I really love when I do the legs and it's like you do the line and it's just coming together and it's like, so satisfying.
There's so much like fun rhythm to play with, I feel like, in figure drawing. Like the legs and everything, they have a certain kind of flow and rhythm to them. I've always enjoyed drawing that. Is there anything you would say that's out of your comfort zone that you want to do more in the future?
I think animals, definitely,
Animals?
they're out of my comfort zone. Yeah.
Yeah, animals I think are fun in a lot of the, same ways, as there's just so much variety. Whenever whenever I start looking for reference of animals for like a creature design or something, I'm always like, it's so easy to go down the rabbit hole of just looking at references for like an hour on Pinterest or something like that. Because if you're looking at birds, there's just so many different types of like colorations and like shapes that the feathers create, and it's very easy to get inspired with animals, I think.
Yeah. Recently, I tried to do a tiger. Didn't go so well. I just stopped at some point. Also, what I'm like worrying about is a lot, because I try to work with vector brushes a lot, means I like reduce the amount of detail I'm doing a lot. So then I have to really like figure out how I make the animals look like the animals. Like, so where do I put the detail? What is the detail I'm concentrating on? So I would never do like hair or feathers, but what else would I be doing to present that? And that's definitely like something I have to work on more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really interesting challenge with that kind of thing, is like translating really complex information into simplified shapes. I think that's a big part of the fun of it. It is funny though, like if you haven't drawn something before, like you said, trying to draw a tiger, it's like we know what a lot of these animals look like, but you realize you don't really know what they look like that much when you try to draw them. So it is kind of a funny challenge to, if you want to get better at something like cats or tigers, to try to draw a tiger from your head first, and then
Yeah.
look up a reference afterwards, and you realize the disconnect. I've done that with horses before. Like, I was like, as a fantasy artist, I should probably be pretty good at drawing horses because they show up in fantasy so much. And then I try to draw a horse and I'm like, okay, apparently I don't know what a horse looks like at all. So then you kind of
Yeah.
have to look up the reference of a horse, and like, it's sort of the same thing. You have to like simplify the shapes to understand the construction of it.
I'm trying to do some different cacti shapes. Not just one, but a couple. Didn't
Is that
like
a
that one
banana
so
too?
much. Yeah, this is bananas here and here.
Oh, perfect. Banana
But yeah.
cactus. Cody says, "Yay, animal characters!" Yeah, or you can do the same, or the combination, people and animals together. Then you got Cody's animal people.
Ah, yeah.
I would say landscapes is certainly another thing that's like out of comfort zone for me. I don't know if you've drawn or painted many landscapes, but that's always a tough one for me.
Not recently, but yeah, back in the day stuff. Yeah, I really like that, because I like to do the sky with oil pastels, and
Oh,
then like getting into the game of like background, foreground, and like where is the stuff going and how's the perspective. That's interesting. And
yeah.
it's lots of fun to do it with oil, actually, because oil is so like movable. It's actually like, I think my favorite after digital, of course, but because you're not in a hurry, you can like change all the time, kind of. Even though you've started and you're not happy with it, you can always go in and add more paint, or take some out, or mix and blend and like change positions really easily. It's like, yeah, very like, I don't know the word, but it's like you're forgiven mistakes.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think.
Yeah, very forgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I liked oil for the same reason. I always felt acrylics, I was really rushed and I couldn't quite get the the look I want before it dried. But yeah, oils, it was just there for you. You could add paint to it, you could mix it in, you could paint over it if you wanted. So I think that's why I liked it too.
Yeah, that was for me also perfect.
Cody says horses are so difficult and that she struggles with environments too. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's definitely an interesting, like, I don't know, I like the variety of trying new things in that way, because I'll try environments, and it'll be the first time in a long time, and it's just the focus of what you have to really practice and be good at is usually pretty different. Like maybe environments, it's more a sense of values and atmospheric perspective and texture, and maybe characters, it's more like figure drawing. So it's nice to mix it up. I think I find that's pretty helpful if I'm ever feeling like I have a bit of artist block or anything like that. Changing it up always helps.
What are you doing when you're experiencing an artist block?
What do I do?
Yeah. Do you have some like cures?
I feel like for me, I don't actually get artist block much anymore, and I feel like it's because I have a lot of art goals in terms of where I want to take my art. Like I have a pretty strong vision, so there's a very strong direction for me, and I think that presents like 500 things that I have to practice and get better at. So it's like such a variety of things to do that I'm never at like a loss of, oh, what should I draw next? It's like I always know, like, oh, I got to do this next because I got to practice this, or I want to work on this thing. There's just like too many ideas and too many things I want to improve at, and I feel like that just naturally doesn't really allow artist block for me. If I am getting it in the moment, it might be because I'm working on only one thing. So if I have like a client commission, maybe I've been working on that thing too long and I need to mix it up. So mixing it up, if it's a big illustration, then maybe I just want to do quick little character sketch, like rough painting that's very loose and painterly. If I'm doing too much character stuff, maybe I want to do like a monster or an environment. So I think variety is a big part of it for me. How about you?
Yeah, I think so too, actually. Like there's so much stuff I want to do. I had one, definitely. That was the case, but I just stopped doing everything for a week because I think I just had too much. Because yeah, I could clearly feel that I was kind of overwhelmed, and like I was just lacking in inspiration, kind of like yeah, have to do it again. Was kind of like a little grumpy about it. I just decided to leave it for a week and then come back and like really put my iPad like somewhere. That helped in that case, but also sometimes for me, like I take care that I change up things quite often without even thinking about it or forcing myself to do it. So I try to also sketch with a pencil sometimes and like keep things interesting for my eyes and for my hands. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so
yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I found that too, just like another form of variety is, yeah, if I do digital all the time, maybe I just want to sketch in my sketchbook. I've even done like a little bit of sculpting. I've never done it much, but just like the polymer clay that you can get. I've played around with that before, and it's just like, it's such a nice change of pace, and just the way I think about it in terms of like just thinking creatively, it's very different. So sometimes all it takes is kind of refreshing it with something like that, or honestly just taking a break, like you said, sometimes is really what you need to do. Just clear your head for a little while. I think it's always a balance for me, one way or the other.
So I'm trying to like do the lines for the kaleidoscope already. Because when we do it the smart way, we only have to create here and like copy it. And I want to squeeze in as much detail as possible.
So this is like a kaleidoscope effect on the background that you're going for, like a sort of pattern.
Yeah. And yeah, if you have suggestions for shapes, I'm here for it.
How do you usually go about creating patterns? Because it seems like a sort of abstract process.
Like you mean repeating patterns?
Yeah, like repeating patterns that maybe aren't like a specific image, like a cactus or something like that, when it gets a little bit more like lines and shape oriented.
I've never really done something that's repeating actually,
Hmm.
but when I do for fashion, then it usually works a bit differently. So you would start, I would usually get a brief and then just figure out what's needed, what I have to do. In most cases, it's flowers or plants, leaves, some botanicals, or also like summer items like sunglasses, a purse, a wallet, bikini, shoes, slippers, something like that. Or I would try to have at least like 6 or 7 elements to make it look super great. So you won't see the repeat so easily. And then I usually work in a half drop pattern, which is a bit difficult to explain right now.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. You would build your pattern in rectangles, and a half drop would start the pattern here again. Like this is your rectangle, you're planning, and then it's repeating here and here.
Oh,
And
okay.
this would be the half drop because it's dropping half the rectangle, and this would make the pattern look really like neat, and you wouldn't see the pattern so easily.
Okay, that's interesting.
Is there any suggestions for shapes?
Yeah, if anyone has any suggestions, put them in the chat. Ferry says, I take a break too long and I almost lost my knowledge and skill. Yeah, it is funny when you take a bit of a break and you feel like, I don't know, I never feel like I've lost anything, but I feel like I have to remember it. Like maybe the first, I have to sketch for an hour before I kind of get back into the rhythm.
Yeah, same for me.
Yeah, it's just like you got to remind yourself how to draw.
Mm-hmm. And also, should we do a circle in the background, which is kind of popping out of, or should we do what?
Ferry says a swirl pattern.
A swirl pattern?
I don't know if that's like a little too abstract for a shape.
That would be. Oops. No, I have the white thing.
Reaver, but Mike says you can't go wrong with diamonds.
Can't
Diamond
go wrong with
shapes.
diamonds. To be honest, I've never drawn a diamond. But why not?
Oh, nice. See, I was thinking like, isn't a diamond just a tilted square, really? That's the type of diamond I was thinking of. Just super simple graphic. But this is a real diamond.
Yeah, also I have to think about keeping it very simple because of the vectors we're gonna do tomorrow.
Oh. Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know if this is a swirl or what. Probably not, right?
Yeah, I mean, that seems like a swirl to me. I guess I was thinking of like, I guess it would be more of a spiral, but I don't know. Is there a difference between a spiral and a swirl?
And a swirl might be something like that.
Could be. I guess I don't know exactly what like a swirl would be. I guess I think spiral when I hear that, but that could be a distinction.
Hmm.
just a rectangle on an angle. Exactly, Reverb Mike. That's what I was thinking. So Danii, are there any artists that you would say like really inspire you or that you've looked up to for a long time that kind of have influenced you in your style?
Don't really know, to be honest. There is quite a few I really love their work. I mean, look at Petra Eriksson or Aurelia Durand. Unfortunately, I don't speak French, so it's kind of hard to pronounce for me. But she's a French illustrator, like does super amazing, colorful, dynamic illustrations. I think that inspired me a little bit, definitely, because I really love that everything is so energetic and dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And she's also like not shy with colors, because in the beginning I kind of was.
Like you were afraid to do like bigger, bolder colors?
Yeah, to go over the top and like put some like super, super bright and like a yellow greenish thing into the illustrations. But yeah, I think these women definitely inspired me.
Very cool. Yeah, it's always interesting to see people balance really bold colors within a piece. Like, I mean, I see that a lot in your work. And for me, I always feel like once I introduce a really like vibrant color, I guess I get a little bit of that nervousness, like, oh, I don't want to, it's hard to balance them when, you know, there's a lot of vibrant colors, but I think that's definitely something you kind of get used to as you go. Do you have a general approach for how you block out a color palette for a piece?
Adobe Capture for sure, like to take pictures in my daily surroundings and what I think is inspiring. Or the other way I do it is I check all the artworks and try to see if I can find something. For example, I found something in this older piece of mine. When I I duplicate the file and then I start like using the Photoshop options like multiply and overlap and these kind of things, and play around with that. And this, for example, is the 4 palettes I came up for this, so we could decide on one which we like the best together.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea. I haven't really approached kind of coming up with colors that way, but that's a kind of a really interesting way to find some ideas and inspiration.
Yeah, I think it's always good also to come back to your earlier work and check out what's there. I mean, especially nowadays through social media, everything like is so easily consumed, and then you're posting it and then it's kind of like gone. But there is so much to like explore more and find. So
yeah, that's definitely true. Do you try to make a conscious effort to keep your work looking consistent or like have a consistent style to it, or is that not something you really think about too much?
I'm trying definitely to keep the colors cohesive to some extent, because also as an illustrator you're getting booked for your style a lot, so it's good to like not replicate but like keeping it so it's still like visible that it's you who created it. That doesn't necessarily mean that I always have to use the same colors, but probably the same contrast would be nice, so it's always kind of like the same vibe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
How do you do it? How do you choose your colors?
Oh, choosing colors. I don't really think about stylistic consistency because I feel like I'm still trying to find, you know, what I really want it to look like. But in terms of colors, I like treating it almost like an oil painting or something like that, where I just slap down colors on the canvas and I mix them around and I add some in almost like an abstract way until I look at it. I'm like, that looks cool. Like I like that. So I guess I first started doing that when certain painters that I followed or I liked, I saw how they did it, how they did color comps for their paintings. So before they do the finished painting, they would do a really rough color blocking just to find like a pleasing palette and harmony. So that seemed to make sense to me. So I like doing that, and it's very easy to do digitally. But artists like Frank Frazetta, I remember seeing his color comps, and then Jesper Eising is a modern fantasy artist who works traditionally that I like, and kind of seeing how he did it makes some sense. So I like just throwing paint down and mixing it around and choosing different colors until I find something that seems like it fits the mood that I want. I like the freeness in that too, just being able to not think about it too much and just mix around. I also find that I like choosing a balance between warm and cools. I guess that's something I always do. If I'm starting out with a lot of cool tones, I'll throw in a warm tone to contrast it. So there's usually that warm and cool balance.
Sounds good to me.
Also, hello to Anika in the chat. What's going on, Anika? Good to see you. Anika also says this looks so good.
Oh, thanks so much. Makes me so happy to hear.
Rachel, welcome on in. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I think the patterns are a really cool kind of contrast to the figure. I'm really interested in seeing how that turns out.
Yeah, I need some more suggestions. Not
If
that
anyone's
I'm
got
out
more
of it,
shapes.
but yeah,
Yeah,
more
if anyone-
shapes, more geometrical, I think would be nice. I'm doing an eye now.
Oh, that's a cool one. I like these sort of like rays that you have coming out from the shape on the bottom right side.
Yeah, I thought like kind of a sun. I might have to put it more down and smaller, but yeah, I'm figuring it out.
Also, Cody Bear says, so today is the sketching process and tomorrow is the coloring / vectoring process. Excited to see her add vibrant colors. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we still have to decide which one you guys like the best, I think.
Can you zoom out a bit? I'd like just to kind of see both of them at the same time, see what. Oh, that's tough. If anyone has any ideas, let us know. Or I don't know if you can label the different ones like A, B, 1, 2, anything like that, so people can let us know in the chat if they have a preference.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are cool.
I think I would go with oops. Starting from the left with this one. This is one.
Mm-hmm.
Which I personally kind of like. It's different to what I've done before, but it's kind of nice. I really like the hues of purple and the green. Yeah, but then there is, I think this is the second. Ooh. With the darker green and darker colors.
Mm-hmm.
And then I chose, this is the third, which is like a little bit more girly, I think, but also very nice. I like the bright yellow a lot. It mixed with like the greenish yellow orange kind of thing here. It's kind of interesting, I think.
Yeah. It's a nice contrast to it.
Yeah, but also like this is popping out a lot. As if we decide for this one, it's gonna be like straight in your face.
Yeah,
like,
that one's very
bold. Loud. Yeah.
Definitely.
So I thought it's best to like bring a few options.
Yeah, I think personally I like maybe the first one and maybe the third. Chat is saying we got a couple saying that they like number one. Actually a third that says they like that green one up top. Hey. Oh, I guess they mean number two. So we got one person saying the green one up top. Someone else is saying that they really love 1 and 4.
Yeah, me too. totally feeling the first one, definitely, because it's so different to what I've done before. So it's going to be interesting for me as well. But yeah, the fourth is probably the one I would be going with. But I'm also happy to do one of the others. We still have we have a bit time left to decide, right?
Yeah. Someone else says 4, and then someone else says 1, and then we got yeah, a 4 and 1 seem to be pretty popular. Got a couple others for 4.
Oh yeah.
1 for 3. Hey, what's up, Uriel? Welcome on in. Good to see you, Sambot. Yes, you can see that I am human. The proof is there, finally. A mix of all 4. I mean, there is some consistency between a few of them. But yeah, 1 and 4 definitely seem to be the most popular in chat.
Okay. I have to move around this wall a little bit. I'm not happy about the position.
So when you're doing the vector side of things in Illustrator, do you use a mouse for that, or do you use a tablet?
The tablet.
Tablet.
Mm-hmm. It's the best since it launched. We did Illustrator a lot in fashion school for technical drawings and these kind of things, and also for illustration, but mainly for technical drawings. So I kind of like wasn't too much into it afterwards because it wasn't too creative and more like straight lines and like everything more from the technical side of things. But yeah, since it's on the iPad, it's amazing. Like I can actually combine because I like the imperfections, and you don't have to always use the path tool. So there's also a brush.
Okay,
and
yeah.
That's working really well for me. Like it really helps me to keep on to stay consistent within my style, because in Fresco I like most of the times I have a few wobbly lines, but on the other hand they make it very like dynamic. So, and I can continue doing that with Illustrator on the iPad easily. And it's so awesome. I was not expecting that, because usually when I work with Illustrator on the computer, I think it's a bit, for my taste, it's a bit too stiff.
Yeah, I can see that. Because I definitely appreciate being able to do things in a way that feels like drawing and, you know, kind of mimics that traditional drawing and painting experience. So that, as someone who likes drawing and painting, that's kind of been my, I guess what I don't really like as much about using the mouse is it feels a bit stiff to me.
Yes. And with Illustrator on the iPad, it's the perfect mix.
Yeah, definitely. And it's cool to see how you do the initial sketch in something like Fresco. So you get all that freehand drawing and you get that looseness in the beginning, and then you can kind of clean it up with vectors. I think it's a good balance. Sarah asks, do you prefer using Illustrator over Fresco for vector drawings?
That's hard to decide because I love both programs and they work equally well, to be honest. Because from Fresco, you can just like export a PDF and yeah, use it in Illustrator on the computer and clean up a bit, because I mean, the only contra I would have is that working on the iPad, you're not zooming in too much all the time. And then there is a lot to clean. Not a lot, but a little bit. So can't say that I prefer one or the other. I think it depends on my mood of the day, I think.
Reverb Mike says nothing bends like a real brush. Yeah, it's funny how much you get used to the tools you use. I feel like regardless of what I'm using, over time I always kind of adapt to those tools in that medium. But yeah, you definitely get used to it. I actually had this nib for my pen for a while that they had like a little spring in them for the Wacom pens, and I think it was supposed to make it feel somewhat like a brush, you know, that there's a little give, there's a little spring to it, but I just got really used to that for the longest time, and it's like I felt like I needed the little spring nibs, but I think it's kind of like whatever I get used to, I just become comfortable with.
Yeah, I think the same for me. After a while, you're not even realizing that it's different than before, or you're just like...
Yeah.
So I think I need another element. Does anybody have an idea what I could put here?
More shapes, if anyone wants to know. Reverb Mike says octagons are a fun shape.
What is
Like
this?
Octagon, I think that's 8-sized.
Huh.
Or any sort of like geometric shape. Umacorn says arrow.
Arrow, that's a good one.
It's kind of interesting.
I like it.
It almost starts feeling a little bit like hieroglyphics, arrow and eye.
And this is like... where the Egypt thing is coming in again.
More like representative shapes. Oh, a couple people at the same time said star.
Oh, yes. I think I can find room for a star. There's always room for a star. Should probably add a few more.
Yeah, the stars are a nice like little filler shape there. Baby Yoda, that might be a tough shape to fit in there, Nor.
Yeah, might be a bit too much.
You know, just a small edition of a Baby Yoda. Very quick and easy.
So...
You said you get a lot of your inspiration just from like kind of things you see, or at least you were talking about that with colors a bit. Do you feel like kind of everyday life and things you see like that are a large source of your inspiration, or do you feel like you draw much from media in terms of like movies, books, and things like that?
I think both equally, probably. Recently, it's been a bit more from books and movies because we're in lockdown for almost half a year now. So there isn't much inspiration coming from the outside, even though the weather is getting better. But I'm pretty much sitting at home all the time.
Yeah, that's true. That's funny. I wonder if a lot of people's inspiration have changed over the past year with where they're getting it.
Yeah, I used to like travel a lot. That definitely changed. So
yeah, I haven't done a lot of traveling, but I went to a couple countries a couple years ago, and I feel like anytime I have done that, there's a lot of inspiration that comes from it. So I think that's probably a good one, something I'd like to do more.
I think traveling is the most inspiring thing for me.
Yeah, I can see that, because I mean the memories that I have from going really stand out in terms of like the landscapes I saw, because I made sure to try to take some time to see, you know, the natural landscapes, and I feel like those stuck with me a lot. And there's just so many things, the architecture, the people, all the new sites and everything. Really, it's very easy for that to kind of influence you. Is there anywhere that you've been that you found particularly inspiring or memorable? Something that you feel like maybe has influenced your work a bit?
Probably Southeast Asia or Sri Lanka, because it's so colorful, and I really love that. Funnily enough, before when I graduated in fashion design, my collection was completely black. So this is definitely a new thing that happened after visiting Asia.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I don't know if you're still looking for new shapes, but we have heart and a crescent shape in the chat.
Sounds good to me. I'm gonna try to incorporate this. Heart is always good too. Where can it go?
Yeah, it's I guess it's kind of like the star shapes, right? Like you fit in a little one. Yeah, that works.
Also, when now we did the first tile, which I'm gonna be copying later, I try to like put some more stuff to make it more unique, to like have more things to discover afterwards, instead of like keeping it just only one of them. So where can I put another heart?
You're saying that with the hearts, you're trying to mix up the positioning a little bit? Okay.
Like to have some hidden elements.
Secret hearts.
Yes.
Reverb Mike says it's spring, so shamrocks.
I have to ask though, what is shamrocks? I think I've never heard that.
Like a 4-leaf clover?
Oh, yes, I love that. The funniest thing is that I have like 2 tattoos. One is a heart and one is a like 4-leaf clover.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, and the heart.
Oh, nice. Yeah, both making their way into the pattern.
Yes, that's perfect.
You called it, Reverb Mike. Good job. Yeah, I like the idea of there being like a little unique variety in the different sections. That's cool. Also, just a reminder, if anyone's over on YouTube watching, you can come on over to Behance if you want to get all the links and see where everyone's chatting and everything. So if you're wondering why you're not seeing all the comments, it's over on behance.net/live.
What else is there? We have some room. There's still some room.
There was the crescent one, there was a maple leaf, and then there was the someone said sunflower.
Okay, let me see. Maple leaf is funny because it's also has to do something with me because I lived in Canada for a year. So I also have a maple leaf.
That's funny.
Tattoo.
People are just calling it. People are just seeing
like,
all the ones.
Yeah. And the crescent, what is a crescent?
I think it's like a crescent moon. The moon when it's
oh yes,
not like a full moon, but you know, the little curved classic kind of fairy tale moon.
Definitely feeling that one as well.
I like the eyes. I like how the symmetry of them is making
Hmm.
it two eyes looking at us. It's cool.
So we're making it a little bit mystical with the arrows and the eyes and the crescent
Yeah, good
clovers.
balance. The arrows are cool too. I like how they're right above the eyes, kind of pointing outward.
I think I'm removing something, what I don't like anymore.
Nor says croissants are better though. You can pretend it's a
Croissants.
croissant, a very pointy croissant.
Yeah, almost there. Thinking about either having a croissant on top of the thing here or have a sunflower. What am I
Hmm.
gonna do? Could both be super cool.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, probably the sunflower to keep it in the
Steve,
mystical. Yeah.
Steve is saying a New Zealand fern would be nice, or a little kiwi bird. I'm not sure what a New
Ooh,
Zealand fern is, but everyone
probably
likes a
like
kiwi.
normal fern.
I'm not sure. Steve's trying to get the New Zealand representation in there.
Yeah, okay, that's now an ugly sketch sunflower. It's gonna look better in vector. I just
Yeah,
know that it's there.
I like it. I like the shapes of the petals. They're kind of a nice contrast to all the shapes around them. The overlapping, I think, will be kind of neat too.
Let me see if there's. I mean, couldn't this be in the middle, the fern already? Like an abstract fern?
Oh yeah.
I think that's it. So
I'm gonna search
it's the
this.
fern already.
New Zealand fern. Let's see what we're working with here. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's I mean, I don't know how to describe it, but definitely a recognizable type of leaf. It's the one with it's kind of like a long one, like the one you have right going up the diagonal, but with petals that look more like the sunflower ones you drew. So similar to that one that she has on the diagonal. Oh, it's the
So,
country's plant. Okay.
oh, yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, I've never been. I'd love to go though.
Yeah, New Zealand, I think, is a. I feel like it's on a lot of people's lists for, where they want to travel. Certainly for me.
So I'm gonna check out how it's going, where we need more stuff,
Oh
because.
yeah, because of the hair.
Mm-hmm. So I'm checking the stuff down there.
If you need more shapes, Mike says a wine bottle shape
A wine bottle.
could
Yeah,
be
I can do
interesting.
that. Yeah. Oh, it's so. I think I have to make this all clean for tomorrow. It's like very. What is happening on the left side? What did I do?
Oh, do you mean the middle line on the left side?
Yeah, the sun here is like
Hmm.
overlapping. It's not clean. I have to rework this a little bit, I think. So, and usually I put like a background behind the women. So I try a circle, something like that, maybe.
just a heads up, we have probably a little over 10 minutes or so before we need to wrap up,
Oh,
just to give you an idea.
oh, that went by quickly.
Yeah, right. It's cool though. I think like once you duplicated all the different parts of this pattern, I feel like it really starts coming together as a piece. Like you can kind of visualize what it might look like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and especially because we're between the first and the fourth color palette. So
Did you say if there was one that you were really kind of leaning towards?
I think usually I would go with the fourth one because it really pops and it's very strong. But I would also go with that one because I think it's very interesting. I've never done a like darker palette recently.
Mm-hmm.
It's more moody and like super interesting. I really like the hues of the purple and the green.
Yeah. Yeah, that one has a really interesting balance with the colors, but I think I'm the same way. Both of those are kind of cool for those different reasons. I could certainly see this piece being very vibrant, but
Yeah.
the first one has an interesting kind of balance to it as well.
Yeah, but maybe it's good. Maybe we'll decide on that one because it's something new. It's a challenge.
Mm-hmm. I think Nicholas is in chat asking about the challenges. Just a heads up that we're starting the daily creative challenges for Photoshop, Illustrator, and XD this week. Today is the welcome stream, and the first challenges will be tomorrow. There's going to be 2 weeks worth of challenges, and each community has their own Discord channel where you can post work, get feedback, give feedback to other people and everything. So definitely check those out if you're interested. Sorry, Danii, were you saying something?
No.
Oh, okay.
Trying to get the sketch done so we can like come back with a fresh eye tomorrow. So getting these back together. And then I think we have some room for maybe the maple leaf. And is there any last minute shapes?
Let me see. Yeah, there's the maple leaf. I feel like there was another one. Let me scroll up. Oh, the wine bottle was the one I was thinking of.
Oh, yes, exactly. I almost forgot. Oh, God. The wine bottle. Trying to hurry up.
Yeah, you're good. You still got a bit. It's really cool kind of seeing it come together like this.
Is it going to be red wine or white wine?
My vote is red. What do you think, chat? We have a suggestion for a flame and a pretzel. Very different shapes.
I think a flame is also happening. I want a flame.
Reverb Mike says done is better than perfect. I agree. It's a lesson I have to keep learning.
Mm-hmm. Luckily, I think I learned this pretty early on.
Yeah. Do you feel like you've ever had issues with perfectionism?
Probably like all of us. I think I could go on forever. This is definitely the case, but during my studies, I learned when to stop and like really learn time management, like how to finish projects, when do I have to prioritize, what do I have to prioritize, what is the most important. And during while studying, I was like, that was really hard for me, but we had 4 years, and after this I'm so thankful that I learned that within the 4 years because it helped me tons.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
That was definitely one of the better things we learned.
I think I talk a lot about how we're so lucky to have the internet and all the resources that we do now, because you can learn anything online. You don't need to go to school, but there's things that I think school can definitely help with and are really beneficial. And I think that is one that is just like having deadlines and learning to turn things in at a specific time. Because if you're self-taught and you just, learn through the internet, unless you specifically set something up for yourself to have deadlines, it's very easy to never really have that like pressure and to learn to manage time and everything like that. So yeah, that's a good point. It's a very helpful skill.
And they really like we had to create stuff, like we had to make the impossible possible. I think if anybody has watched like Project Runway or these kind of shows, like this is the reality. This is what they did with us doing study, like the time we studied it. Yeah.
Pressure's on.
The pressure was definitely on. So, but it's good. I've learned a lesson for life, definitely, from that. Like, I'm so thankful. Because whatever it is, I'm never stressing out. And I know how to approach these stressful situations and then, like, just give everything I have. And it just mostly works out, luckily, because, this value lesson.
Yeah, definitely. Mike says, a painting usually tells me when it's done. When it's done, we know. That's good. I don't know if I have that as much as you do. I have to like use little tricks and I don't know, purposely kind of set it up so that I finish within a certain time. So creating a deadline for yourself, I think, is really helpful. But sometimes it doesn't feel as real as if you're in school or it's for a job or something like that. Sometimes I just try to force myself to stay zoomed out the entire time. So I focus on the big picture and I don't spend 500 hours in like tiny details, which is, I think, really easy for a lot of people to get caught up in. So try to keep little reminders for myself to not end up spending forever on it, but I still do. It still happens.
And it's also much fun. Like when I do self-initiated work, I love to get lost in a piece. But usually, like, I can totally relate to, I know when the illustration is done. Like, there is a certain kind of feeling that occurs. And you're like, oh yeah, I got it. That's it now. Woohoo!
That's a good feeling.
Or when I have the right color combination, I'm like, oh yes.
Yeah.
That really is it. Yeah.
When it like clicks and you kind of know.
But it's not always happening. Sometimes I have to come back to pieces after a month or two.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of that comes from experience. Like once you've done it enough and you kind of know your process, it gets a bit easier to know when it's where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's quite full. We've managed to get like lots of detail. I'm happy. I'm loving it.
Yeah, it looks great. When you see the color palettes that you've picked out and you look at like the line work that's laid out here in front of you, do you kind of visualize ahead of time what colors will go where and what colors different things will be? Or is that something that's completely figured out once you start putting color down on the canvas?
I have to admit that I think I have an idea, but in most cases I would just like do something completely else in the end.
Yeah.
But I mean, the piece is evolving while you're working on it. Generally, I try to keep it bright as possible. That's kind of like, I don't know, for my eye, it's like the most satisfying to keep it always bright and popping. So yeah, I would try to achieve that. But yeah, I think yesterday I started and I colored the skin of a woman like blue, and in the end I ended up having it orange because it looked better in the composition.
Okay.
So it all comes together, especially when we have so many pieces. I will change loads, I think.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
I'm a similar way. I'll think that I have an idea when I visualize it in my head, and sometimes that is what it is, but sometimes once I get the color down, I have to rearrange it in a way that looks like it makes sense. So it's a little bit of both. I have a visualization in my head, but it's not always completely there. I have to figure it out on the page.
Yeah. And most likely I would even go so crazy about it and also upload it to Photoshop afterwards and like play around even more.
Oh yeah, that's helpful for sure. Yeah, Photoshop's really nice just to have like color adjustments, and I mean there's so much you can do with colors, color balance and levels adjustments, and tweak colors really quickly to get some good ideas just to see if something works or not. So I definitely do
Yeah,
that.
that's also for me the most like fun thing. Sketching and then the colors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think eventually she didn't need the apple or pear on top of her head. I think she's good with the diamond coming out of the hair.
Yeah, that looks cool too. It's got like almost a similar shape as the apple,
Yeah.
the placement. Mayor asks, oh, I guess this is directed at me. How long does it usually take you to complete a fantasy character? Um, for me, it varies a lot. It depends. Like I'm always trying to adjust my style and level of finish and everything. I think I was usually trying to shoot for my characters not to be more than like 12 hours or so, but it's always like a refinement process with my work. Like I need to get a piece to a level where I like the result, and then I can work on getting there more efficiently next time. So that's usually the goal, but it varies a lot depending on the level of finish, like how rendered or how painterly I'm going for. So anywhere from like 4 hours to 16, maybe even more than that. How about you, Danii? Do you have like a pretty consistent time you spend on pieces, or does it vary a
Mm,
lot?
I think it varies a lot because I also try to do different poses. And then I have to learn the movement first. So I have to figure out my lines. So it might take a little bit longer, but usually I try to sketch as much as possible. So like to get like a rough sketch, which is not pretty, it's like I don't need as long, like 5 minutes or something, and then like
Uh,
really work on it. But I don't have those like you're doing so many details and so many beautiful shadows that's like completely different. I really only try to I try to minimize as much as possible and don't even do as many shadows just where necessary, where I can't get without it. So this
okay.
is what I'm trying to like less is more kind of a thing, and then more
Yeah.
go over and explain my piece through colors. That's
Okay.
at least what I'm achieving, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense.
Yeah, but
Also,
yeah, I remember when I still worked a lot with Photoshop and did lots of flowers, which had like with the mixing brush, I don't know the English
the mixer
thing.
brush.
The mixer brush? Okay, yeah. I worked like for hours on one petal. Like to bring in the different shades and like make it look as original as possible. Yeah,
Yeah.
that took hours.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in that for sure.
Yeah, and
It's a
it's
lot of
so much
fun.
fun. Yeah, and to see it come together and like give it more depth and these kind of things.
Yeah. Also, it looks like we're pretty much at the end here. I just want to remind everyone that we have it's the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge coming up next, so definitely stay tuned for that. And then we have Aoife O'Dwyer, I hope I'm saying that right, after with a UX UI stream. So check those out today. Um, Danii, if you want to kind of give a little recap what you've done today, let people know where they can find your work if they're just seeing your work for the first time, and yeah, kind of give a little
Yes.
recap on what we've done.
Today we worked on a pencil sketch in Adobe Fresco, a kaleidoscope portrait of a woman holding a grapefruit with lots of geometrical shapes. And we will be coloring and finalizing everything in Adobe Illustrator tomorrow. And yeah, if you want to look me up or find my work, you can always check out my website or go to my Behance profile. It's pretty much updated, I think, at this point. Yes, it is. And yeah, I'm happy to see you all tomorrow. It was so much fun. Thank you so much for being here. I had such great 2 hours.
Yeah, Danii, thanks so much for joining us. It was great to see you. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Everyone come back tomorrow to see the coloring. And thanks so much for joining us today. We'll see you next time, everybody.